Welcome to Outside Views. Today we're talking about tariffs. No, don't yawn yet, because these aren't just any tariffs. These are Trump's tariffs. You know, the ones that that are supposed to bring manufacturing back, revive blue-collar towns, and make America industrial again, preferably while wearing a red hat and yelling China into the wind. But something strange is happening. Instead of roaring factories and record job growth, they are getting pink slips. Lots of them. And are you surprised? Well, you shouldn't be. Because when you wage a trade war with your own supply chain, the casualties tend to be your own workers. And let's zoom in on Mack trucks. If you're not from Pennsylvania, this might not mean much. But Mack is a legendary American company. I know them from a lot of movies. It's been building trucks near Allentown for over a century. And it's the kind of company you would expect to benefit from a policy meant to protect American manufacturing. And instead, they are laying off between 250 and 350 workers. And why? Well, according to the company, market uncertainty about freight rates and demand and the impact of tariffs. So the translation, tariffs made everything more expensive. Customers aren't buying as many trucks anymore. And when fewer people buy their product, you don't need as many people to make them. That is simple, that is brutal, and classic unintended consequence. Now, if this were just one plant, you could just dismiss it as bad luck, a temporary blip. But it's not. This is the leading edge of a much bigger economic storm. Goldman Sachs, the vampire squid itself, estimates that Trump's tariffs will create around 100,000 manufacturing jobs. Sounds great until you read the second half. Those same tariffs are expected to destroy 500,000 jobs. So net loss, 400,000. And that's not a trade policy, that's an economic own goal. That's like hiring 100 firefighters and then setting 500 buildings on fire. Sure, jobs were created, but you're still left with a smoldering crater where prosperity used to be. And they've seen this movie before. During Trump's first term, tariffs cost about 245,000 American jobs, according to one estimate. And the sequel is already playing out. Companies across the country are bracing for more layoffs. Small businesses are sweating, and CEOs are already going on record saying things like, a lot of companies are definitely going to go under, that's for sure. And that's Molson Hart, by the way. He runs an educational toy company, one of those classic made in America small businesses that politicians love to name drop in campaign ads. And except now those businesses are drowning in higher costs, in disrupted supply chains and less demand. And the New York Federal Reserve, they just reported a level of pessimism among manufacturers that's only been seen a handful of times in the survey's entire history. Not exactly the booming renaissance that they are promised. More like the economic equivalent of a fire drill where no one remembered to install exits. And meanwhile, Ryan Patterson, the CEO of Flexport, a logistics company, says ocean freight bookings from China are down 50% since the tariffs hit. Let that sink in. Half. That's not a ripple. That's a tidal wave. And he estimated that up to $1 trillion in economic activity could vanish if these tariffs stick around for a full year. And that's not just numbers on a spreadsheet or something you hold up. That is real people, real businesses, real communities. Patterson warns that thousands, maybe millions of American small businesses could go bankrupt this year if these tariff policies don't change. And these aren't luxury brands or corporate giants. These are the local employers, the corner shops, the family-run companies, the folks who actually keep the economy running. But don't worry, Wall Street's doing fine. Well, for now. The stock market might have priced this in already. But Main Street? Well, Main Street is bleeding. And Here's the irony. The entire point of the tariffs was to help American workers, to rebuild the middle class, to stand up to China and bring jobs home. But when the weapon of choice is a boomerang, don't act surprised when it hits you in the face on the way back. And tariffs were supposed to be targeted strategic, and instead they've become a wrecking ball. One that hit American companies first, American workers second, and long-term competitiveness dead last. And look, I get it. Trade policy is complex, and you just can't wave a wand and make 1970 come back. Global supply chains are sticky, and yes, they should absolutely push for fairer trade. But this ain't it. This is the economic equivalent of hitting yourself with a hammer and blaming the floor for getting in the way. They are penalizing their own industries, raising prices on their own consumers, and destabilizing their own workforce, all while pretending they are sticking it to China. And spoiler, China's fine. American workers? Not so much. So the next time you hear politicians shouting about tariffs and national pride, remember Mack trucks. Remember the 350 workers getting laid off in Pennsylvania. Remember the 400,000 jobs they're losing in the name of 100,000 gained. And ask yourself, is this policy or performance art with real-world consequences? So thanks for watching Outside Views, where we believe economic patriotism shouldn't involve shooting yourself in the foot and calling it strength. So like, subscribe, and stay sane out there.